Rightio, so 1.5272 is what we need. I think I put it about there. Really doesn't have to go in far, I don't believe. But let's see what we end up with. Seems to be sitting in there nicely. Obviously, O-rings can be compressed, being rubber, so trying to just get a feel of it without pressing too far. What do we got here? Right, 1 inch 609,000. So that's got a fair way to go. 0.6. What did I say? 1.52. That's not, normally I don't have an O-ring pick. Right. Right, 1 inch. What have I got there? 525. That says 40. Kind of grown. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sharpen the angle on that tool bit. It's getting to be a bit wide. You wouldn't want it any wider than that. Okay, so I've changed the profile to give us a sharper point on this rather than going wide now. Now I think my tool is too sharp. Have a bit of a look there. Yeah, it's too sharp. So angles are better, but the tool's now too sharp. Okay, so I changed the profile of the tool to be a bit more rounded. Now we're getting somewhere. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Only 2 thou off. Geez, that could be just a measurement error on this. How much you press down on the. How hard do you press? Let's take a little bit more. It's got to be close. Okay, should be the last little bit. Okay. Scotch-Brite material. Okay, so now I just need to decide what size arbor. It's got to be an arbor that goes all the way through. And then that arbor needs to be turned down to fit onto the device, onto the tachometer itself. So I did get more stock in, so let me see what I've got to make it out of. Okay, so just going to drill a hole in here. Start off with a centre drill. Forwards might be helpful. She went out of gear. Fucking piece of shit. That was a nice sharp drill bit, that one too. Don't normally use 11.5 that size. Or what's that, 450 thousandths. For some reason it just never gets used. Just seeing the depth we've got to play with here. So it's in 42 mil. Oh yeah, well and truly. Probably only need that far. Maximum, I reckon. And of course that rolled down underneath the lathe, so I'm going to have to dig that out. Here goes 10 minutes of mucking around. Got the arbor here to the point where our little wheel goes on top nice and without any movement. Need to drill and tap a hole in there, which I've only just realised. I was just about to blast ahead and part that off. I haven't done this for a week or so, so I've sort of come back to it and I've forgotten where I was at, obviously. Right, so I've got to drill a hole in there. RPM, I think. This should be in further, closer to the chuck. I've got this in a 4-jaw and I just can't be bothered indicating it. I'll stop it from going in the chip pan. Okay, so I'm going to re-indicate that back in the... What do we got here? Look for your low. There's your low there. Rightio, so tighten the highs. There's a high there. That's not going to tighten, so I've got to undo the bottom. About the 10. Here's another high. About the 10. Where are we now? Let's give him a bit. Lie there. Right. So that's if we're trying to be really getting too silly about it. There you go. go of the tailstock. I wonder what was going on there, I think. What I'm trying to do is drill a hole in the centre of this little mandrel, same OD or a little bit smaller than the OD of this. So I've measured it, it's about 700 and let's just measure it again. 273 thousandths. We'll go with a 261 around about. In metric that's 6.8. So I'll just throw a little pilot in there. Find some glasses. Oh, here they are, right behind me. So I need to wear glasses for close-up, but then you forget, you need to put safety glasses on as well. So making sure the pilot's going in far enough, which it is. So I've measured the length we want to come down the shaft here. You can see where the original sort of adapters went down to. It's about 1/2 inch, so it's not a critical amount. We don't want to go too far and not too short, so about 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to set up drill and just go in until we've got a full circle, and then we'll reset our tailstock and measure it 1/2 inch. That's about there. So camera won't go far back enough, but now what I'm doing is releasing the clamp on the tailstock, winding in the quill until I get to a full number. So the tailstock is effectively being pushed back. Rightio, so 20. So I should now drill that in until I get to about 33. Would be 12-13 mil, roughly 1/2 inch. Okay, so now all I need to do is turn this outside diameter down. I'm just wondering whether I do that first or put the slot in it. The originals had little slits. So the originals had little slits to hold it on to the tachometer. Now that slit is very, very skinny. I don't have anything anywhere close to that sort of thinness. So what I was thinking, it looks like it's probably made out of some sort of spring steel maybe, or maybe not, but they've machined it down, or it's made so that it's so thin that when you go to push it onto the shaft of the tachometer, it'll spread a little bit and sort of hold it on with a friction sort of fit. So because mine is a big, at the moment it's got a wall thickness of 1/8 of an inch or a bit less, we'll get that down as close as I dare and put the only slit I can put in it will either be the bandsaw blade, which I think it's point. Let me measure the bandsaw blade, small bandsaw blade I've got. The bandsaw blade's 0.9 of a mil thick, so 35 thou. It'd be just as easy for me to put that in a vise and cut it with a cut-off wheel. It's 40 thou, I think, the smallest cut-off wheel. The quicker and easier than trying to hold that, run that through the bandsaw. I'll just turn this down a little bit, get it a bit closer, and then we'll run the cut. Alright, I'm just going to take that out of there. I'm going to put a slot in it with the angle grinder. It's going to be a bit rough. I don't have any tiny slitting saws or anything like that. Okay, Tachometer arbor, putting slot. Okay, so sometimes you just need to bring a grenade to a knife fight. Got my little slot, and I'm just going to skinny down the outside diameter a little bit more, so it gives it a chance to flex. Change the insert to something that hopefully won't mind as much thumping as that other one. You want it to be a bit tight rather than loose. But we don't want to have to, push it on so hard that it destroys the bearings or whatever is inside this, this thing here. It just doesn't want to quite go. I'll have a look in my drill bit collection and see if I've got one. Because I've got some number and letter drills, and one of them might get me closer. I suppose I could always see what's the natural resting point for an original arbor, or not arbor. So he slides on there quite easily, doesn't he? And that's the drill I drilled it with, but not a lot of play. I went with the next drill up in this standard range. Oh yeah, that's probably... Oh. How does that feel compared to the... No, there's definitely more in it. Okay, I made a decision. I'm going to use the next drill up in the standard set. Chuck back in. Let's hope now that's not too thin in the wall there, then it's going to snag on those slits and stuff the whole thing. Just Drop the speed. Let's get closer first before I accidentally ram that into it. Like that. That would have been terrible. Oh. Now if that was under power, that would have been terrible. Was that shot in there then? Right, justified that manoeuvre. So far so good. Take this chuck with a drill bit in it out. How far away are we now? Oh, you can feel it. Yeah, it wants to go in. Okay. It's a little bit tight. So, I might just skim the outside a little bit more, giving it more chance of flexing when it tries to go in. So I really can't go any bigger drill. Try him again. So he went on, but I suppose it's better to be tight than loose, isn't it? Alright, take one more. Touch the outside with a file. Let's change the RPM for that. Right, I didn't tap the hole in the end of it to hold the wheel on, so I better go and do that. And then we'll see if it works. something hits.